Jewish immigration into Palestine soared from 4,000 in 1931, 9,000 in 1932, to 30,000 in 1933. Most of them still came from Eastern Europe, especially Poland. But now, they were joined by Jews from Germany. Small in numbers, but great in impact. They were professional, skilled people, with the cultural interests of Western Europe. Priority was given to those with £1,000 or more. Capital and skill combined to produce an economic boom in Palestine. In all, the German Jewish immigrants brought in £63 million. The number of industrial firms grew from 6,000 to 14,000 in 7 years. The workforce trebled in the same period. The population of Tel Aviv, the city the Jews had created on the coast near Jaffa, trebled in 4 years, as did the Jewish population of Haifa. In a few short years, Palestine was industrialized.
Now, with the start of the immigration from Germany, there came the major modernization of commerce and industry. They brought more the notions of Western Europe as against the former notions of Eastern Europe. Also, in the arts, tremendous upswing by the great talent which came over now from Western Europe in quantity and in quality, which of course gave a new fillip to the University of Jerusalem. Stone was laid already in 1925, and Israel put itself on the map. But in our mind, it was already the state of Israel under the cloak of the British mandate, the British regime.
Tel Aviv, 1935. A sophisticated Western town. But for the weather, it might have been on the south coast of Britain. There was, of course, an Arab economy in Palestine too. With the exception of the Lebanon, it compared favorably to those of other Arab countries. The Arabs felt the effects of the boom. British development of the railways, ports, and the building industry created new jobs. To Arabs in neighboring countries, Palestine looked attractive. Several hundred Arab immigrants entered each year, mostly taking casual and seasonal work, some of them across the Allenby Bridge from Jordan. Others entered illegally. As the boom subsided, there was unemployment. The Arabs viewed Jewish development with growing hostility. In particular, they were concerned by Jewish land purchase. Jews now owned 5% of Palestine. The Arabs did not have money, experience, or technology, and they could not match Jewish investment, organization, and development in those years.
Economically, the two communities were distinct. Zionist economic activity was governed by certain principles which were enshrined in the constitutions of their central financial organizations, like the Keren Kayemet and Keren Hayesod. And one of these principles was the boycott of Arab labor. The other principle was that land acquired or purchased from the Arabs was inalienable and could not be repurchased by the Arab. The Zionists were not an Arab philanthropic organization. They did not go to Palestine to benefit the Arabs. They went there to benefit themselves at the expense of the Arab. If any benefits accrued to the Arabs, they were entirely incidental and certainly unintentional.
Germany, 1935. The Nuremberg Laws. Jews were declared to be racially inferior to Aryan Germans. banned from marrying or having sexual relations with Germans, disqualified from citizenship of the Reich. Palestine, 1935. In that year, 62,000 immigrants came to Palestine. The annual rate of Jewish immigration had increased sixfold in 3 years. The Arabs grew restless. At this rate of immigration, there would be a Jewish majority in Palestine within 10 years. Under the mandate, Sir Arthur Walkup, the High Commissioner, was obliged to move towards self-government. With the Arabs in a majority, any legislative assembly would block Jewish immigration and the development of a Jewish homeland in Palestine. That, too, was a British obligation under the mandate. Two of its central features were irreconcilable. There were, however, municipal elections, this one in Tel Aviv. In 1935, Walkup proposed an assembly with 12 elected seats, 8 Muslim, 3 Jewish, and 1 Christian. The balance was to be held by members appointed by the British. The Arabs were prepared to consider it. As they considered, the House of Commons rejected the proposals. Without a majority in Palestine, the Jews opposed it.
There was a problem of principle involved. The mandate had been given to the Jewish people and not to the Jews who were living in Palestine at that time. The argument, therefore, was that the Jewish agency representing the Jewish people all over the world could not possibly agree to being represented in a legislature in Palestine where only the Jews of Palestine would be represented. So the normal establishment of representative institutions were militating against the whole concept of a Jewish national movement.
The opposition in the British House of Commons to a legislative proposal that gave 70% of the population less than 50% of the seats. The House of Commons was opposed to this on the grounds that it gave too much to the Arabs. Now that was the unmistakable signal of the lack of will on the part of London to be to do justice, to play fair.